As incredible as the summer of 2016 and the overall year as a whole was, it was also one of the greatest years of all time for the game of basketball in its 125-year existence. But before we get to what you actually came here for, which was the legendary 2016 NBA Finals, let's first cover some other incredible things that happened leading up to it.
This video is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, an app that allows you to predict higher or lower on all major sports individual player stats. We're still waiting for the NBA season to start, but here's some wins we've had over the past week from NFL, college football, and MLB. Sign up now using code HARDWOOD. You get a 100% deposit match up to $100. Follow me on Twitter. I'll be posting my entries there, and you guys can roast me if we don't win.
The 2016 NCAA tournament is one for the history books. While a couple interesting things happened in the first weekend, like 15-seeded Middle Tennessee State leading wire to wire and beating 2-seeded Michigan State, or 11-seeded Northern Iowa winning on a half quarter over Texas in the first round, to then absolutely melt down and blow a 12-point lead in 44 seconds against 3-seeded Texas A&M. It was rather the national championship between the Villanova Wildcats and the North Carolina Tar Heels that made this tournament one to remember. Widely regarded as the greatest national championship of all time, UNC was down by 10 points with only 5 minutes to go before cutting that lead to just 1 point with 23 seconds left. After a couple of free throws by Josh Hart making it a 3-point game, Marcus Paige hit one of the most underappreciated shots in NCAA tournament history, a double clutch 3 tying the game with 4.7 seconds left. You may be asking yourself, why is that shot so underappreciated? Well, that's because of what happens next. Villanova's point guard Ryan Arcidiacono pushed the ball up the court before shoveling it back to their power forward Chris Jenkins, who lets a deep 3 fly with the buzzer sounding midair, and it's absolutely nothing but net. I really wish I could show you guys all these sequences, but the NCAA absolutely sucks. They've copyrighted many of my videos in the past, even though it's fair use, and although I've won claims in the past, I really don't want to go through it again. So go over to YouTube and watch the final 5 minutes of this national championship. I promise you won't regret it. It's absolutely magical watching Villanova celebrate as that shot goes in. One last thing to mention is this Villanova team was absolutely stacked, led by Josh Hart, who you now know from the NBA, 2 incredible college players in Ryan Arcidiacono and Chris Jenkins, and then 2 freshmen who would go on to be forces in the NBA and win their own national title just 2 years later, Mikal Bridges and Jalen Brunson. The 2016 NBA dunk contest will go down as one of the best in history alongside Vince Carter in 2000 and MJ and Dominique in 1988. You had the reigning champ in Zach LaVine for the Timberwolves versus a young Aaron Gordon of the Orlando Magic. Gordon and LaVine traded perfect scores in the championship round, with Gordon potentially having the most impressive dunk in the evening, going underneath his legs and over the Magic mascot. But I may have to take that back because Zach LaVine then proceeded to jump from the free throw line and do a windmill. But it was Zach LaVine again that would oust Aaron Gordon in sudden death with a 1-step in free throw line dunk between the legs. A lot of people think that Aaron Gordon got robbed, but either way, it's incredible to think that one of the greatest slam dunk contests of all time took place during this year as well. 2016 also gave us some incredible stars retiring in Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and Tim Duncan. From KG carrying those awful Timberwolves teams to the playoffs in the early 2000s, to him and Ray Allen finally experiencing some postseason success when they teamed up with Paul Pierce and the Big Three in Boston in 2008, to Tim Duncan dominating the last 15 years, winning 5 titles. It really is incredible to think they all retired in this year, but it wasn't nearly the biggest retirement of 2016. 2016 was the final year of Kobe Bryant, and he went out in the most incredible way possible, in iconic Mamba fashion, dropping 60 points against the Utah Jazz in his final game. It was one of the worst teams that Kobe ever played on, but they would give the Golden State Warriors one of only 9 losses that season, blowing them out 112-95. As incredible as everything we've mentioned so far has been, nothing compares to the season that Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors had in the 2015-2016 NBA regular season. Steph and the Warriors had their coming out party just a season beforehand, going 67-15, defeating LeBron and the Cavaliers in 6 games, and Steph winning the league's MVP award. As impossible as it sounds, the 2016 Warriors took another step forward. Without their head coach Steve Kerr and led by assistant coach Luke Walton, the Warriors started off the season 24-0. By the time head coach Steve Kerr returned, they were 39-4, and by All-Star break, they were 48-4, the best ever start to a season in NBA history. At NBA All-Star Weekend, Klay Thompson would defeat Steph Curry in the championship of the 2016 three-point contest, which is a microcosm for what this Warriors team was. They were shooters. The spacing, the shooting, the incredible ball movement, it really was a new era of the NBA they were ushering in with this style of play. Just a few weeks later on ESPN Saturday primetime, against one of the Western Conference's best teams, the Oklahoma City Thunder, led by Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, Stephen Curry hits a 32-foot three in overtime as time's expiring. I understand it's just one game in a long season, but this is who the 2016 Warriors were. This was 2016 Steph Curry in a nutshell. The 2016 Golden State Warriors would finish the season 73-9, beating Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls of 1996's record of 72-10, and Stephen Curry just had an absolutely unreal season, averaging 30.1 points per game, the highest in the NBA, 6.7 assists, topped the NBA in steals with 2.1 steals per game. He shot 50.4% from the field, 45.4% from three on 11 attempts per game, and 90.8% from the free throw line, making him only the 7th player in NBA history at the time to join the 50-40-90 club. He would go on to win his second MVP in a row, but this one was special. He became the first unanimous MVP in NBA history. A couple other records the 2016 Warriors broke were the most three-pointers made in a season by Curry with 402, and most in the regular season game with 12. They also would be the first team in an entire season to not have back-to-back losses throughout a whole regular season. Klay Thompson had an incredible season, 22.1 points per game, shooting 42.5% from three. And then you had the ascension of Draymond Green, who finished second-team All-NBA and first-team All-NBA defense. This Warriors team had it all, or so it seemed. On July 11th, 2014, a 30-year-old LeBron James revealed through an exclusive with Sports Illustrated that he was returning home to the Cleveland Cavaliers. After breaking every lifelong Cleveland sports fan's hearts just 4 years earlier, he was back to try to repair the damage he caused. And that healing came pretty fast, as the first season with LeBron back in town, the Cavaliers made the finals against the Golden State Warriors in 2015. And although they were up 2-1 in the series, they would go on to lose the next three and lose the series 4-2. But for all Cleveland sports fans out there was so much hope. Kyrie Irving only played one game in the series, and they didn't have Kevin Love for the entirety of the series. It was still going to be an uphill task against this incredible Warriors team, but they had a chance. The 2015-2016 Cleveland Cavaliers would finish the regular season 57-25, before then sweeping both the Pistons and the Hawks in the first and second rounds of the Eastern Conference playoffs. In the Eastern Conference Finals, they matched up against a 56-26 Toronto Raptors team led by Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. Although the series went 6 games, it really wasn't all that competitive, as the Cavaliers blew out the Raptors in every single win they had, punching their ticket to a second straight NBA Finals. The Warriors, however, would have a much harder road ahead of them in the Western Conference if they wanted to get back to the finals and defend their title. After defeating the Houston Rockets in 5 games and the Portland Trail Blazers in 5 games, they matched up against the Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. The Thunder were incredibly talented, led by Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, plus they had just defeated the second seed in the West, a 67-win Spurs team, in 6 games. To begin the series, OKC would stun the 73-win Warriors team on their home floor, coming back from down 13 at halftime to win Game 1, 108-102. And although the Warriors would blow them out in Game 2, 118-91, the Thunder would prove to be the real deal, defeating the Warriors 133-105 and 118-94 in Games 3 and 4 at home. Yes, you heard that right. The 2016 Golden State Warriors, 73-9 in the regular season, were now down 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals. Golden State would win Game 5 at home 120-111, but now would be facing elimination on the road in Oklahoma City for Game 6. We all know what happens next, and it can be summed up in 3 simple words. Game 6 Klay. Facing elimination and potentially the most embarrassing playoff series loss in NBA history, Klay Thompson put up 41 points on 14 of 31 shooting, breaking the NBA postseason record for threes in a game with 11, and tallying 19 of his points with 5 3-pointers in the fourth quarter alone. The Warriors found themselves down 7 with 5:34 to go before winning 108-101 and sending this series back to the Bay for Game 7. In a poorly evenly shot, low-scoring affair. The Thunder would lead the Warriors by 6 at halftime before getting outscored 29-12 in the third quarter, losing 96-88, making the 2016 Golden State Warriors the 10th team in NBA history to come back from a 3-1 series deficit in the postseason. But this series was just the beginning. I'm sure we're going to see KD and Steph battle it out for the Western Conference crown for many years to come. Hollywood could not have written a better storyline for the 2016 NBA Finals. You have the reigning champions breaking MJ's 96 Bulls regular season record, going 73-9, and a first unanimous MVP in NBA history in Stephen Curry, versus LeBron James's Cleveland Cavaliers, who fell short last year in his second year back with Cleveland, promising this city their first ever championship in all major sports history. As great as the storylines and the ramifications were in this series, the first two games were just not on that kind of level. In game 1, the Warriors defeated the Cavaliers relatively easily, 104-89. Game 2 was even more of a blowout, with the Warriors winning 110-77. With this win, the Warriors now had the highest point differential in the first two games of any NBA Finals ever, and it just looked like LeBron and the Cavaliers were completely outmatched. But with the Cavs back at home in Cleveland for game 3, they showed some life, destroying the Warriors 120-90 in a game that also just never really was that close. But it seemed like the Cavaliers came back to earth in game 4 as they lost by 11, 108-97, making them down 3-1 in the series. But game 4 did not end without a little bit of controversy. Late in the fourth quarter, Draymond Green fell down in front of LeBron James, and as LeBron stepped over him, Draymond got up and swung his arm into LeBron's groin area, which upon review was called a flagrant foul and would cause Green to be suspended for game 5, as it was his 4th flagrant of the postseason, a catastrophic loss for Golden State and completely preventable. One could say that that little interaction was all LeBron James needed, as he would explode in game 5 for 41 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks, while Kyrie put up 41 points as well in a Cavaliers 112-97 win. Winning game 5 was all the confidence Cleveland needed to now shift the narrative away from them losing the series to the Warriors trying to prevent being the first team to blow a 3-1 series lead. And that became the narrative that everybody talked about heading into game 6 in Cleveland. In a series of almost complete blowouts, the Cavaliers would force a game 7, winning 115-101 behind another 41-point performance from LeBron James to go along with 11 assists, 8 rebounds, 4 steals, and 3 blocks. This also included LeBron scoring 18 straight points for the Cavaliers from the end of the third to the 7-minute mark in the fourth quarter, making LeBron and his Cavs the 3rd team ever to force a game 7 after being down 3-1, but the job was yet to be finished. Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals is, in my opinion, the only really good game of basketball in this series. As great as the series was, the storylines, all of the ramifications that go into it, this was the only game that seemed to be actually good basketball. In a series full of blowouts, this game did come down to the wire with 20 lead changes throughout and 11 ties. If you're watching this video, you know exactly what happens in the final minutes of this game. You've probably watched the same video we all have, the final 3 minutes and 39 seconds of the 2016 NBA Finals on YouTube over and over again, but you're here to relive it again anyway. With the score tied at 89 with 3 minutes and 39 seconds left, but for the next few minutes, neither team could score, and you could feel the tension in every possession. There was so much at stake for either team, and it would only come down to just a few possessions. That's when one of the greatest plays in NBA Finals history occurs. Andre Iguodala on a fast break with 1:55 left on the clock. What looked to be a 2-on-1 fast break with an easy finish by Iguodala turned out to be not, as LeBron James comes flying out of nowhere and pins the basketball to the backboard. Just a few possessions later, with both teams coming away empty-handed, Kyrie Irving would hit a 3-pointer to put the Cavaliers up 92-89. Kevin Love then locks up Steph Curry not once but twice. LeBron gets the rebound, and it's all but over. The Cavaliers become the first team in NBA history to come back from a 3-1 deficit in the NBA Finals, winning 93-89, capping off one of the greatest single seasons for the game of basketball, in my opinion, ever in its existence. I get that you may hate LeBron, or you may just think he's not as great as MJ or whatever, but you cannot deny that this moment was incredibly powerful. This man was raised in Akron, has his first 7 years in Cleveland with terrible rosters, loses to the Spurs in the 2007 NBA Finals where he's practically alone, then makes one of the worst decisions ever by doing The Decision on ESPN in 2010, breaking his hometown fans' hearts. That fan base watches him win 2 titles in Miami, but then he returns home. He heals your hearts in his second season there, giving not just your basketball team, but your entire city's first championship ever. And to do it against the greatest team of all time when it comes to records, it's the stuff they write about, it's the stuff that movies are made about, and it's a huge reason that 2016 is so incredible for basketball as it was. If you're still here, you'll enjoy the next video I'm uploading very soon. It's on the entire history of the NBA. It's over an hour and 20 minutes long, and hopefully by the time you're watching this, I have it uploaded. You can click right here, but if not, stay tuned, subscribe, have your notifications on. The video's coming very soon. As always, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the hardwood.